Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to do a fun video that I feel like is great for the end of the year because it's something that I can go back to in 2021 and kind of look at and interpret and see what I want to focus on for 2021. And one of my main goals, which I will probably mention in an upcoming video about my goals for 2021, is that I want to finish more series and read more series and just kind of get a better grip on what I've read in the past, what I'm into, what I want to continue, what I want to give up on. So this is the first of a few different videos I want to do kind of under the same theme. But for this week's video, I'm going to be doing what series I have started but do not intend on finishing. So this is going to be in a couple of different sections. So the first of which is going to be the series which I read the first book from and have decided that I'm not going to read past that first book in the series. The second section is going to be book series that either have been completed and there's like a second trilogy or a second series that I don't intend on finishing, or books that kind of stand alone. So it can be part of like a companion series, which I've decided that I'm only going to read the first book in, or whatever book I read, and not continue. So this is going to be a really long list. I think there's probably like 70 series or something. I'm not going to count. You can count if you want to. But the first section that I'm going to go into is the book series that I've read one book from and have just decided that it's not for me. I'm not going to continue. Okay, here we go. And there are no specific order. Okay, this whole section is going to be series that I read the first book in and didn't continue after that point. First is the Wicked Villains series by Katie Roberts, The Wild Duology by K.A. Tucker, Bring Me Their Hearts by Sarah Wolfe, The Murder Complex Duology by Lindsay Cummings, Supernatural Battle by Kelly St. Clair, Binti by Nnedi Okorafor, Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. I believe this has a different series name, but it's the first book in that series. Serpent and Dove by Shelby Mahurin, The Themis Files by Sylvian Nouvelle, The Carls by Hank Green, Monsters by Marjorie M. Liu, The Others by Anne Bishop, Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor, even though this one kind of has an asterisk by it because I might finish the duology just because there's only 2 books, so I feel like it'll be pretty easy to finish. Captive Prince by C.S. Picot, Rat Queens by Curtis Wiebe, this one. The Bear and the Nightingale by Catherine Arden, Brute Force by Laura Lee, Daughter of the Pirate King by Tricia Levenseller, Renegades by Marissa Meyer, The Monsters of Verity series by Victoria Schwab, Children of Blood and Bone by TOMI ADEYEMM, The Darkly Madly Duet by Trisha Wolfe, The Wicked and the Divine by Kieran Gillen, Warcross by Marie Lu, The Montague Siblings series, duology, whatever it is, by Mackenzie Lee, The Lies of Locke and Lamora by Scott Lynch, The Kate Daniels series by Leona Andrews, Chew by John Layman, Talon by Julie Kagawa, The Daughter of Smoke and Bone series by Laini Taylor. This one also has an asterisk near it because I might continue that one, but more than likely I won't. In Death by J.D. Robb. This is because this book series has like 50 books or something in it, so I just read the first one and I feel like that's okay to stop there. The King Killer Chronicles by Patrick Rothfuss, The Villains by V.E. Schwab, The Ember in the Ashes series by Saba Tahir, Starbound by Amy Kaufman and Megan Spooner, Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard, The 100 by Cass Morgan, The Winners Trilogy by Marie Rutkowski, The Ascendance series by Jennifer A. Nielsen, The Lux series by Jennifer L. Armentrout, which I was really interested in continuing, but I just feel like I've passed the time in my life that I would be really into that type of book, if that makes sense. The Darkest Minds by Alexandra Bracken, The Gemma Doyle Trilogy by Libba Bray, The Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants series by Anne Brashares, and The House of the Night series by P.C. Picot. So that's the end for the section of the series that I've read the first book in that I just don't feel like continuing. The next I'm going to jump in is things that are considered series, but I've read what feels like a standalone from that series, so I'm not going to continue afterwards. You'll see what I mean as I kind of go through these. So we have the Color Purple series. I'm not sure what it is, by Alice Walker, but I read the first one, really loved it. I don't know too much about the other books in this series, how many there are, so if you feel like I should read the rest of those books by Alice Walker in that kind of series, please let me know down below. I would love to know. I just have never heard anyone talk about them. I don't know what they're about, so I'm not sure. We have Finna by Nino Cipri, Stargirl by Jerry Spinelli, Holes by Louis Sakur, This Is Not a Test by Courtney Summers, Beartown by Frederick Bachman, The Good Daughter by Karen Slaughter, Bird Box by Josh Mallerman, Ella Enchanted by Gail Carson Levine, What If It's Us by Becky Albertalli and Adam Silvera, Sky in the Deep by Adrienne Young, Into the Drowning Deep by Mira Grant, Anne of Green Gables by L.M. Montgomery, another one which I don't know if it really technically is a cliffhanger because it's been a while since I read it, but I believe you can read the first one and it doesn't matter if you continue with the series. Love, Life, and the List by Casey West, which I didn't realize was a series until I looked at Goodreads at these books. Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe by Benjamin Aliri Sons, another one I didn't know had a sequel, or at least on Goodreads it says #1. DC Icons by various authors. The Batman one was written by Marie Lu. I think it's Wonder Woman was written by Leigh Bardugo, so there's a bunch of different authors that do those. I read the Wonder Woman one and really enjoyed it, but I don't really have any interest in the rest of the series. In the Company of Killers by J.A. Redmersky, When Dimple Met Rishi by Sandhya Menon, One of Us is Lying by Karen McManus, A Wrinkle in Time by Madeline Engel, The Darkest Hours by Maya Banks, Dawn Tillman by Graham Simpson. This is the book that has the ROSIE Project. I think it's a duology, but I'm not going to read the second book. Old Man's War by John Scalzi, Me Before You by Jojo Moyes, Burned by Ellen Hopkins, Wonder by R.J. Palacio, Burn for Burn from a couple of authors, Jenny Han and Siobhan Vivian, who knows, this one. Ready Player One by Ernest Cline, If I Stay by Gail Forman, and The Giver Quartet by Lois Lowry. Okay, now we have the last two sections. So the first one I'm going to go through is the series that I read more than one book, and I'm going to kind of give a little bit more of a reasoning as to why I'm not going to be reading it anymore, why I've given up on it, so and so, because I feel like I should go into a little bit more detail for this one. So the first one is the Veronica Speedwell series by Deanna Raybourn. So this one I've read the first 4 books of, and I really enjoyed the first 4 books. It's a mystery series following Veronica Speedwell, who studies butterflies, whatever those are called, and she teams up with this guy who owns a museum. It's been a while. And they kind of go on mysteries to solve mysteries, and they kind of have like a flirty thing going on. So I read 4 books, but the mystery got like more and more uninteresting to me, and so at this point I'm just kind of a little bit over it. So I just decided that this is one that I'm not going to dedicate my time to anymore. It's not like I'll never in my life ever read this series again. It's more of a like, it's going to be at least a few years before I feel like I am ready for this series again. So that's why it's here. Next we have one that I can definitely change my mind on, and it's only because of Monty, because he's been reading these books, and it is the Throne of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas. I read the first 3 books, and I have never been so obsessed with the series in my life as I was with that series. But then they did my baby Kale wrong with him and Selena, and I was just not about it. And then she was all about Rowan, and I was like, no, I'm not down for this. But I feel like my heart has kind of healed from that, so I might want to continue because I really love those books. So we'll see. I'm still like tentative on it, so put an asterisk by that one too, but I may be convinced to read it, but we'll see. We'll see. I don't know if my heart can handle it yet. Then we have the Wayward Children series by Seanan McGuire. This one I've read the first 5 books, I believe, almost I think up to the most current book. Something Tumbling Down, I think, is the newest one. But I realized the only reason why I'm reading these books is because they're really short, so I can like bump up my Goodreads goal and get through them quickly. It's not because of actual enjoyment for this series. I love the representation in the series. I think it's amazing, but I just think that Seanan McGuire's writing is not for me. So I've just decided that that was the last book I'm gonna read. I give them all 2 or 3 stars. It's very middle of the road. There are books I'd rather be reading, which is why I'm putting that one. The next one is the Simon Snow series by Rainbow Rowell. I stopped after the 2nd book in the Simon Snow series, which was Wayward Son. I thought it was terrible. I hated it. I hated the direction of the characters. I hated the plot. I hated literally everything about it. It was not good. And Rainbow Rowell is a pretty problematic author who has been exposed a lot recently, and I just don't want to support a problematic author, so I'm not going to continue with that series. I hated the last book. Not a big fan of Rainbow Rowell anymore, so bye, no more. So the next one kind of hurts, but it is the Nevermore series by Jessica Townsend, which I enjoyed the first 2 books from, but I'm just not wild about them. I do think that they're really cute, but it takes a lot for me to really love a middle grade series right now. I just feel like I always kind of have to like slug through them. I'm a little bored when I read them, so I just don't think I'm going to continue with the next one. Maybe if I like have literally no other book to pick up and I just am like, oh, what book should I read today? Oh, this random one, and it's available, maybe I'll continue, but it's not my favorite. I'd rather be reading the Keeper of the Lost Cities series. Love that series. So yeah, unfortunately giving up on this one. Then we have the Charlotte Holmes series, and this one I read the first 2 books in, I think. Same story as the Wayward Children series. I'm just not interested in it. I'm not interested in where the characters are going. I don't care about the plot in either of the ones that I've read, so next. Then we have The Diviners by Liv Bray, which I really like the first 2 books, but I just have no interest in continuing. I don't know why, I just don't want to. Moving on. And then we have Outlander by Diana Gabaldon, which I read the first 3 books for. I think I gave the 3rd one 5 out of 5 stars. Like, I legit think that book is a masterpiece, but I'm just gonna watch the TV show. The books are too long, they're too dense, and anything that happens in the book I can just watch on the TV show, because I'm sure the TV show will span all of the books, because it's not getting canceled anytime soon. So we're just gonna watch the show. Next up we have the Dresden Files by Jim Butcher. There's like 14 books in this series. I read the first 2. I like them well enough. I thought the audiobooks were great because they're narrated by Spike from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but I've been watching a lot of reviews on his books recently, and it kind of like has opened my eyes to the way that he treats female characters in his books, and he's just not very good at writing female characters, and I'm just not interested in continuing. Next up we have the Mercy Thompson series by Patricia Briggs. This one I read the first 3 books in and I really liked it, but there's a lot of books in this series that I just feel like my love for it kind of fizzled out, so no like real story behind this. I'm just not really interested in reading the rest of the books in this series. Then we have A Song of Ice and Fire by George R.R. Martin. I watched the show, I love the show, I don't need to read the books. Maybe I'll read the last book, even though I'll be totally lost like whenever he eventually puts it out, but no interest in reading it. I'm not doing it anymore. No. Okay, and the last one in this section is Lock and Key by Joe Hill. This one I finished, or I read the first 2 volumes, and I'm just not a huge graphic novel person. I like a few, but I'm not a huge fan of a lot of the ones that I've read, and they're just something that I like to read because they're quick to read and they go on my Goodreads reading list, so I feel like I can bump up my reading quicker, which is true, but my goal for the next year and the coming years is just to focus on the books that I like to read, the type of genres that I like to read, and don't care so much about reaching a number on your Goodreads, because if that's all you want, you can just read like 5-page picture books. You know what I mean? So I really want to focus on reading books that I care about. Okay, and now we've reached the last section in this super long video. Maybe I'll end up just splitting it up because there's too many to talk about. But I really wanted to let you guys know about series that have finished, and then there's like a second trilogy, second series that comes after that original series. So again, you'll see what I mean as I go through these. There's only a handful, but I really wanted to bring that up in this section. So the first one in this one is The Selection by Kira Cass. I read the first trilogy that ties it up with a nice bow, but then they have like a second trilogy or just spin-off books about the main character's daughter that I just have legit 0 interest in reading. I'm not gonna do it. No desire. I actually really like the Selection series. Like, people talk shit about it all the time. On that anti-TBR tag, everyone's like, book I'm never gonna read is The Selection, and I'm like, why? Do you just not like fun? Because it's super fun. I read it like 2 years ago. I feel like the craze for it was really like 5-6 years ago. I didn't read it then, but I read it a couple years ago and I was just like, this is so entertaining. I love it. And I've never even seen like The Bachelor, Bachelorette, which people like often compare it to. I'm not into those types of shows, but for some reason the Selection series is just so fun. It's so fun. Then we have the Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children series by Ransom Riggs. This one I read the original trilogy, really liked. Same story as the Selection. There's like a new, I don't know if it's like 1 book after the original trilogy. I think it's following the same characters. I could be totally wrong about that, but I feel like the trilogy just wrapped up really nicely and I don't really need to read about those characters after this fact. we have 2 more. So the first one is the Fever series by Karen Marie Moning. The first 5 books in the series follow one main character, and then after that there's like a handful of other books which follow a side character from that original series. I love the original series. The first 5 books are like some of my favorite urban fantasies. I love them. I love the main character. I love the relationship between her and the main guy. Like, I just like love that series. Like, it's probably my top favorite urban fantasy series. Other than Bloodlines by Rochelle Mead, the spinoff to the Vampire Academy series. If you haven't read that, please get on it. It's so good. I reread it every year. But yeah, the second series in this like overall world, it's just not something I'm interested in. The main character in this like second series is super young, but her love interest is like an old fae or something like that. I don't know. I just don't care. Not gonna read it. And then the last one is the series that comes after, the Mara Dyer series by Michelle Hodgkin. I really enjoyed the Mara Dyer series when I first read it, probably like 5-6 years ago, right during its like highest craze. I think I followed every book as it came out, and that was just like my YA time. Like, I still love reading YA, but that was the time when I was so into YA. But they have a new series, or a new, I don't know if it's one standalone, but it focuses more on Noah, and I just don't care about him at all. I feel like I used to care about him, but I just don't care about him anymore. So yeah, that is the list of, I don't even know how many titles. This is gonna take forever to edit because I'm gonna have to put every page, like every book cover right here. Okay, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video.